So Devil May Cry is a fun game, and I'm completely brain poisoned by Vtubers. So I figured, Gura likes DMC, so what if I made a video game where instead of Dante being the Devil May Cry, it's Gura?
Oh my god!
Yeah, it's about as complex of a thought as I can muster. Should be easy enough though. I mean, I've made games before, and there are plenty of really robust action game templates that you can download on Unity. Plus I've got like 3 weeks before school gets back in session. How hard could it possibly be? Yeah, so about that. Things didn't exactly go according to plan. Did I ship a game? Yeah. Was the game at all what I originally intended to make? Not really. To explain why, I really have to go into what I was attempting to do with this project in the first place. I guess if we want to make a DMC game, let's just look up what genre it's in. And that's remarkably unhelpful. We should probably just boil it down to what elements I want to include in the game. Namely, a cool character, weapons with multiple combo routes, enemies that can be comboed with said weapons, a meter that tells you how stylish you're being, and cool bosses that challenge the player.
And also, you should win things by watching!
Now, what makes a Hololive fan game? Obviously, Gura and Rushia flat jokes. Keep it up, guys. Those are still really fucking hilarious. I kid, but the main distinguishing factor that makes a Hololive fan game feel authentic is a lot more intangible. Each member has their own vibe about their streams that needs to be encapsulated through the tone, aesthetics, and inside jokes that combine to make a Gura game, as opposed to just making a game with Gura in it. Lastly, I wanted to make the game fun and engaging. You'd think that would be obvious, but I tried making my last game not fun and engaging, and that didn't go well.
Oh my god!
So with that all established, I started to make the game. First I wanted to make a Gura model that matched my very professional and detailed sketch. For that I used Vroid Studio, which is the software that allows you to make high fidelity anime models very quickly. And it's also where that goddamn default 3D Vtuber look originates. Next I wanted to use a framework, because I knew I did not want to be making my combat system and character controllers from scratch. This was a mistake, but at the time it seemed pretty natural. From there I downloaded the Game Creator framework and tried tweaking the basic combat in order to make it feel like Devil May Cry. On the end of the first day, I had the same thing that pretty much every single game dev on Twitter has made, which is just Gura running around and swinging at some enemies. Then I got sick for about 4 days. And in my sick delirium, I decided I was going to pivot the project a little bit. Whether my weakness came about from my sickness or pure cowardice, I did realize something. In the time that I allotted, I really couldn't do this. You see, making a 3D game is really hard. And making a character action game that feels good, well, that's not exactly something most devs can do on a time crunch, let alone me, who's bad at game development. I realized a lot of this when I started to play around with the character controller in combat. While Game Creator does a really good job at starting you off, the actual hard part of making the game and fine-tuning that character controller into something that feels the way you want it to feel, that takes really long. A really long time. Even if I nailed it first try, that still doesn't solve any of the asset problems I'd run into. I had made the Gura, sure, but if I needed like a rock, I'd either have to make it myself or get it off some asset pack. Which is all fine and good, but what if I wanted a chair, or a platform, or a Kali, or a thing for Gura to hit with her trident? Well, I'd either have to make that myself, or go back to the asset pack, and if that didn't have a chair, I'd just have to find another one that would look really out of place right next to the rock that I have. Long story short, unique looking 3D assets is hard to do in a short amount of time, and especially if you're bad at Blender, like I am. So did I decide to use the coming months and dedicate them to making a competent 3D action game and deliver on the promise that I initially pitched? No. Instead, I decided to change the entire game to a 2D platformer character action high. Wait, don't leave. I swear this is interesting. You see, if you were to map out making the complexity of a video game, an open world like Red Dead Redemption would be like up here, and changing the color on a block when you click on it would be like right here. And a platformer is like right around here. So it's basically the first thing that everyone makes when they first pick up Unity, meaning that there's a lot of really amazing tools for them, but they're also an overdone and boring game concept when not executed with an incredible amount of competence, like something like Small Ame is. Have no fear though, I'm coming off of being sick and only have 2 weeks to complete this project. I'm sure I'll knock it out of the park. For the gameplay concept, I want to base Gura off of Dante from MVC3, cause it's Dante, but in 2D. The problem aesthetically is that the Vroid model really doesn't read well from far away, so instead I decided to make a low poly version of the DMC3 Gura, which would look a lot better in my presumably more pixelated version of the game that I'm making now. I threw it into Unity and got Gura running around and jumping. Look at her go. It may not be the prettiest thing in the world, but I'm basically going for barely above MVCI Pizza Face Dante, so it could be worse. From here, I just need to add attacks and fine-tune the movement. The Corgi engine has a combo weapon that I can base Oh, it doesn't work. This officially looks worse than the MVCI Pizza Face Dante. It's been about 2 more days trying to troubleshoot this problem, rearranging every aspect of my animation tree and weapon setting.
Jimmy, don't look. Just look at that!
I even asked the Corgi engine dev for advice, which, understandably, he basically said, get better at animating, loser. So, because, as one of my teachers used to tell me, I've got less spine than a spina bifida victim, I decided to throw in the towel and just go the sprite-based approach from here on out. Now it was time to examine what kind of art style I was going to go for if I was going to draw all the sprites myself. And because I only really had 2 weeks left, I decided it would be best to go with a more chibi, cartoony art style just to save time on drawing. You know, just like Devil May Cry. Anyways, from here it's pretty bog standard. Other than some general animation problems, oh god, I really do gotta get better at that. At this point, all I wanted Gura to be able to do was a 3-hit combo into the air and then follow up that combo by jumping towards the enemy, which actually ended up working fine with 1 day of fine-tuning. Now time to set up the levels. When building them, I wanted to keep the bosses that they would be leading up to in mind, as far as their aesthetics and their gameplay. For example, the Kali level is vertically scrolling, to pay homage to that one game that she really likes.
Why?
See, look, she loves it. And the Ame level is more focused on using your gun to shoot down enemies. Oh yeah, I gave Gura a gun. From there I add obstacles that are thematically appropriate to stop the player from progressing unless they deal with it in a stylish way, and bada bing bada boom, you got 3 platformer levels. Now I just need to draw and add the bosses. I decided I was going to base Ame's design off of Lady for obvious reasons. And I made Callie Virgil because she looks so cool. I draw their frames and even draw some extra ones just in case I have time to make them playable. I don't. Then I give them some very rudimentary AI. I managed to put all of them at the very end of the level and have them drop a key that opens a door leading to the next one. Oh shit, I need to like add sound. But where am I gonna find hours and hours of content of these streamers? Oh wait. After putting in the sound, I ran into a bit of a design problem, which is trying to prevent the game from just becoming a cacophony of noise. I kind of fixed this by limiting the amount of sounds in a scene, and lowering the amount of times a sound can proc for a given action. But it still kinda sounds a little Aegis from Persona 4, if you catch my drift. With that, it was just a matter of making the tutorial, making the UI elements, making the ending screen that apologizes to people for playing this game, because despite how breezy the end of this video made making the game seem, yeah, it's still pretty rough. After all, the only real way to make a game good and polish it is with time, and I was out of that shit by the very end. So at the end of the day, did I make a good DMC game?
Nope.
But did I make a good HoloLive game?
Nope.
But did I make a game, ship it, and can I at least be proud of the thing that I made?
No.
Huh. Was this all just a huge, massive waste of my time?
Yes.
Huh. Well, I don't view it as such. Honestly, a lot of the people that I watch on YouTube are super entertaining, but most of their projects go super well, and any roadblocks they run into, they're able to find answers to it incredibly quickly. I kinda wanna make this video because one, I think making videos is fun. This was pretty fun to make. And also, any game dev project that you start when you're just getting started making games, it's probably gonna look a lot more like this than it is like anything that those other YouTubers are gonna make. Game dev is really hard, like I said. And at the end of the day, as long as you just finish a game, I feel like that's victory enough. So keep creating games, and make ones better than what I make.
All of these thoughts running through my head. I'm on fire, veins burning red. Frustration is getting bigger. Bang, bang, bang. pull my devil trigger. The darkness that's within me. No hiding from the shadows anymore. When this wickedness consumes me, nothing can save you and there's no way out.